Hello, everyone, and welcome to the In Michigan podcast. I am your host, Ryan Redoute, aka That Michigan Guy on Instagram and TikTok. And before we start talking about the amazing town of Saugatuck, Michigan on the west side, I'm going to give you the inside scoop. I've been there time and time again, so I know the restaurants. I know where you need to check out. I know the beach, so I'm going to give you a lot of great recos. But before jumping into that, I want to talk about just what's going on in Michigan right now. The weather's a little crazy. It got really cold all of a sudden, a little fake fall, if you will, for us. And it's midsummer. We're in August. We're in the final full month where we know the weather in Michigan is going to be great. So if you have not started checking off those final Michigan summer bucket list vacations and items, I know that my husband and I are busy planning out the remainder of our weekends up until mid-September, really, where we're going to capitalize on the great weather because we know we're going to be sitting inside and the winter's going to be here and we're going to wish that we would have done something more summer fun time, the whole vibe. So just make sure you're getting out there, enjoying the beautiful time that Michigan has right now, because again, come winter, you're going to wish you were doing more. Even though you're probably tired like we are, because we're so tired. We're trying to really fit in a lot during these 14 weeks or so that we have. But oh my gosh, I forgot to get a comment. Oh my gosh, hold on. I'm going to pull one from a recent video I'm doing. So this next segment is Michiganders Say What? Where I talk about the different things that Michiganders are saying on my socials, because really the comment section on my social media pages ends up being its own habitat, which is kind of crazy because that's how I kind of got started in knowing that people in Michigan wanted more Michigan content. It's because I started paying attention to the comments, noticing everyone wanted to talk about it, to give tips, advice, share their thoughts. And so the comment section on my videos really lives on its own and becomes its own entity. But let's look at the comments of my most recent video. And okay, I did one on the Michigan beaches and just I really was highlighting just Michigan beaches in general because I feel like Michigan beaches, as I say in this audio, really look like the beaches everybody wants to paint. It's what artists are kind of driven by, their muse, if you will, because you have the grassy lands, you have the trees, you have the actual beach part, the perfect white caps of water, the rocky shores, the sailboats, the calmer waters to where these more like chill, relaxing boats and everything can kind of pop up. But I can read a couple actually. I was going to say on this recent video, Found Familiar's Dice on TikTok said they're so therapeutic to visit, which they very much are. And then we actually have a reco from someone called Moxie on TikTok on the same video. And they said if you're ever out in Voila, which I think I'm pronouncing that right, you've got to do a feature on St. Ambrose Mead, which I believe is like, I want to say it's a location because I've actually checked out Beulah. It's up where Frankfurt is. So there's a reco for everybody. If you ever find yourself in the northwest part of Michigan and you're in Frankfurt or what have you, go check out Beulah, which is the city next door. And you can check out the St. Ambrose Mead. Sounds delicious. Beautiful shots. Oh, that was nice of you to say. Silvera's Ramblings. Cool. So, really what happens with those comment sections is people end up going on like 200 comment replies, which is kind of crazy. So feel free to go yourself and you might be featured in another video of mine. So just as a heads up. And if you ever want me to specifically shout something out, maybe you want to shout out a local business. I've been trying to get in the process of sharing things that people message me on Instagram, for example, little coffee shops, little small businesses around Michigan that really could just use a little bit of a pep in terms of promotion. I work in digital marketing myself, and so I am all about doing that because if you don't support the small businesses, then all we're going to be left with are the big monstrosity companies, which yes, offer convenient things sometimes, but do they really offer character and spirit? I would say no. So diving into our main segment of the podcast, my life, as I like to call it, I'm going to talk about Saugatuck. Now, Saugatuck I first heard of because it's a very LGBTQ plus friendly, very family, just in general oriented place. So it blends a lot of worlds together, but that's the reason why I decided to go check it out, because there was a lot of gay friendly kind of cities around Michigan. It was at a top. So it was at the top. But Saugatuck has so much to do for anybody that wants to go there. Any Michigander is welcome, and there are so many things to eat, some desserts to get. I'll tell you about places to sleep and the different kinds of shopping and just experiences that you can do while you're out there. But starting off with where to stay. So Saugatuck, the city in general, has been kind of overrun by VRBOs. So my family has gone one of the times I visited and stayed in a big one ourselves, and it was a lot of fun. Kind of something similar to what I was talking about the last episode with Frankfurt, where you can kind of get some family, some friends, book a big place for yourselves and have a shared community space, maybe a shared living room that's pretty large, and porch and kitchen and what have you. But each of you have your own individual bedrooms, which is nice, especially as you're dealing with more older people that don't want to be sharing a room as much. So you got Airbnbs. I'm always on there. There are a couple hotels. The area itself, like, you can drive 5 minutes and get to any of these experiences or places that I want to tell you about. So know that if you, this is everyone getting the real unedited to make sure I can get out this content portion. But you're going to want to make sure that you are, or I'm just saying that you can stay kind of anywhere you want, and you're going to be able to get somewhere. So even stay a little bit outskirts. There's campgrounds, there's hotels that are kind of on the outskirts. Don't worry about staying in one of those, because you're just going to be a short drive away from anything beautiful and any cool thing that Saugatuck has to offer. Now, in saying that, Saugatuck has a downtown that you can go visit. There's a lot of restaurants around. Kind of like all the restaurants have a very just comforting, kind of like family style type place. Not saying the food's family style, but like the environment is very for like families and hanging out, couples. Specifically Bodie's Steakhouse. It's a really fancy place if you want a really upscale experience with just your significant other or what have you. Then there's also the Barge, which is right on the river that kind of cuts through the town, that looks beautiful. Let me just tell you about Saugatuck. Every single view you look at, for the most part, like, it looks Instagrammable. Like, anywhere along the river, there's always like a sailboat parked so elegantly next to a cute little cabin Airbnb. And just everywhere, I remember the first time I went, I was like, oh my gosh, everywhere I look is Instagrammable. To kind of give context of like, don't whip the phone out every 2 seconds to take photos. Enjoy the experience, but just know that visually everything is so, so beautiful. There's also the Southerner. The Southerner is kind of like always busy. I don't think I've ever gone there when visiting where it was not packed and there wasn't like an hour and a half wait. But pro tip, if you order carry out, you get all the delicious food. And let's say you have a really big Airbnb with a beautiful big table. You don't have to just sit in the restaurant and wait. You can just get takeout. Forget about, tip them a little bit still, because it's going to be a ton of food, but you don't have to worry about things like a huge tip and a wait staff like waiting on you and what have you. You can kind of just take it home and maybe have a bonfire pit, and you can just kind of have a really nice Michigan summer night. So that's my tip on the Southerner. If you're just going with a couple, it's a little bit easier because they have a bar out front you can just hang out at, and then once you eventually get in, they have some really cute sit-down areas. Very great spot for a photo op if you're looking to kind of wow people on social media or do a little review or something. The Southerner is definitely the place to go to get kind of just that vibe. In terms of other things to do, there's a couple experiences that I've done that have been really great. One, going to Oval Beach, easy peasy. I would say to get there early because you are gonna end up being in a really long traffic line because it's just single lane. They have to check people in. It takes a second, so that's gonna back people up. There's tons of parking, so you don't have to worry about that once you're in. But getting in there, it does take like 20 minutes to a half hour, so apologies on behalf of the city for how long if you're stressed out and you went there after listening to this or what have you. But I'm telling you now, get there early because you're gonna wanna. And then honestly spend the whole day there. The beach is super long. You can walk it. It's kind of skinnier and narrow for most of it. There's a huge like communal section that anyone can go to, but if you just want a little private time just for your group, you can kind of go down a ways and get your own little strip of beach to yourself. That's what we did. And the other experience I would say is called Sailing Saugatuck. I think it's sailingsaugatuck.com you can go to, or just Google that. And there's this one sailboat, has a green bottom if you want to identify her. And what you can do is kind of like buy your seat on it. You go with like 10 to 12 other people, and you can do like the sunset ride or the morning or the midday, what have you. And then we ended up buying our own little bottle of champagne, which is cute. Or you can bring whatever you want. I know I'm a big one for non-alcoholic drinks, so bring that sparkling juice. Just sparkling water in general with a little, maybe a little a little fruit platter. Treat yourself to something nice. I think like they don't really provide anything, so you can just bring whatever you want though in a cooler and kind of just like set up shop, put down your little blanket and have your own little gorgeous time and kind of like remove everyone else from the situation and have your own little romantic moment. But we did, I think we wanted to do the sunset, but it was booked out, so we ended up doing midday, and it wasn't actually too bad. Got some cute photos too, and the crew is always really nice because of course they're people in Michigan. One, they're Michiganders. Two, they're working on the water, so they're obviously going to be in the best mood. And so the whole experience was really great. It wasn't too expensive either, so it was kind of something just to spice it up. You know, you could go to the beach in the morning, sailboat. If you want like a mega Saturday in Saugatuck, you can go to the beach in the morning, again, skip the crowd. 2, go down Sailing Saugatuck and have a little midday experience, bring that cooler. And 3, you can go to Bodie Steakhouse or something, or a fancy dinner, or just any kind of dinner downtown. And the barge at sunset, I've done with, we met up with some friends last time I was there, and the barge at sunset on the rooftop, they have a huge rooftop, ample seating, so you can probably get a spot there. And it is one of the best just feelings ever, and you will have to go and do it yourself to understand what I am talking about. But honestly, just Saugatuck just has so much to do. Shopping, you can walk around, and it's just so cute. Like, it's a really, really cute town that I highly recommend everyone check out. It's one of my favorite Michigan kind of like vacation towns to visit, and I hope you do. But that's all we have for today's episode of the In Michigan podcast. Give me a follow on Instagram and TikTok if you want to see more Michigan content. You can also leave a comment about this podcast here to give me your thoughts, things you want me to talk about. I want this to be kind of an amplification of the Michiganders and what they want to hear more of. I want this to be a true and blue Michigan podcast. So feel free to share your tips, message me on Instagram maybe. And other than that, I hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you all Michigan.